Man, you won't believe this, but my nightmare started the day I moved into that old ranch-style house in Willow Creek. Thought it was going to be our fresh start, me and my wife Sarah. But nope, it turned into a full-blown war with the neighbor from hell. I'm Mike Reynolds, just your average IT security guy who lives for logic and firewalls, and there I was, unpacking boxes, when this woman, Linda Hayes, comes pounding on my door like she's the sheriff of suburbia, screaming about code violations and how my house is a ticking time bomb. I cracked the door, chuckling a bit because it seemed so absurd, and said, "Lady, you got the wrong address. We're not even in your HOA turf." But she just glared at me with those cold eyes and whispered, "Oh, you have no clue what you've unleashed." And right then, I felt this chill, like I'd poked a hornet's nest without knowing it. See, Linda was this 55-year-old former teacher. Drove around in a beat-up golf cart like she owned the block, and she had this folder, thick as a phone book, spilling out drone shots of my roof, close-ups of my mailbox, even scribbled notes on my window sizes like living room, 70 by 45 inches, potential weak point. I asked her, voice shaking more than I wanted, "When the hell did you take these?" And she traced her finger over one photo, nail scratching like nails on a chalkboard, saying, "These ranch homes, my dad built them just like this back in the day. They need checking, always checking." It wasn't nostalgia in her voice. No, it was like her old man was still alive, still hammering nails somewhere, and that creeped me out deep. 'Cause I could see it wasn't about safety. It was about control, buried in some twisted grief over her dad's death in a construction collapse years ago, making her obsess over proving his builds were flawless. Like invading homes would somehow bring him back or clear his name from whatever whispers blamed him for shoddy work. I wasn't about to let her steamroll me, though. Occupational hazard, I record everything. So I whipped out my phone, hit record, and shoved my deed in her face, proving my place was a solid 60 yards outside Willow Creek HOA lines. She waved it off like junk mail, smirking. "Boundaries? Those don't trump community protocols. I'm the safety overseer here, and your house falls under my watch for proximity risks." That's when she slid me this fancy inspection notice on what looked like city stationery, but I'm paranoid by trade, so I dialed the number right there, put it on speaker, and watched her face crumple as the city guy goes, "Sir, we got no Inspector Hayes on staff. This reeks of fraud." Priceless, her eyes darting like a cornered animal, and the supervisor jumps in. "We've flagged her. Former principal pulling strings, but no more. Or its charges." Victory won for me, but Linda didn't slink away defeated. No, she gathered her photos with trembling hands, muttering, "Technicalities won't stop real dangers. These houses, my dad knew their secrets." And left me standing there, skin crawling, realizing this wasn't a nosy neighbor. This was someone unhinged, driven by a lifetime of unresolved pain, seeing every ranch home as a battlefield to defend her father's legacy against imagined sabotage. Sarah got home just as Linda's cart whined off down the street. She's a 911 dispatcher, 6 years in, reads people like open books, and one look at my pale mug she knew. "What went down?" she asked, and I showed her the pics. Her face hardened, professional mode kicking in. "Mike, this ain't quirky. This is stalker vibes, premeditated, with access tactics predators use to worm inside." We talked late that night, her explaining escalation patterns from her job, how folks like Linda test boundaries bit by bit, no big leaps, just steady pressure till you crack. And yeah, I'd shut her down quick. But Sarah warned, eyes serious, resistors become challenges. She'll amp it up, especially with me pulling doubles this weekend, downtown till 6 then residential. I felt okay, though, 'cause I'd documented it all, thought we'd nipped it, but man, was I clueless. Linda had been at this game for decades, polite at first, but when denied, she turned vicious, and what came next flipped my world. Next morning, digging through the garage junk from the old owner, Robert Klein, I found this taped envelope under his workbench. Shaky handwriting, desperate notes. "If I'm gone, beware Linda Hayes. She's got my keys, made her my emergency contact for safety, but she's watching nights, measuring windows, testing locks, can't rest anymore. Get out while you can." Attached were blurry phone snaps. Linda at 2 a.m. with a tape measure at his bedroom window, flashlight probing the foundation, even one of her gesturing wildly in his yard like arguing with ghosts. My hands shook as the pieces clicked. She'd been inside before, tormenting this lonely 75-year-old till he broke. All 'cause his house matched her dad's style, and in her mind, verifying its integrity was like honoring him. But really, It was her grief twisting into domination, preying on the vulnerable to feel powerful. I called my neighbor Tom Wilkins over. He's a retired cop, 68, face like weathered leather, and he spilled, voice low. "Robert begged me for help 3 times," said Linda was hounding him about inspections, claiming his place was collapsing from 70s flaws. Poor guy tore up walls hunting ghosts she planted in his head. Tom admitted ignoring it mostly. Cops brush off neighbor spats till blood's drawn, but now, guilt heavy, he vowed. "Not repeating that with you." Linda ramped up fast. Anonymous complaints flooded in. Noise reports, code violations, even a concerned pal from her teaching days showing up to check foundation damage. I traced them all back, call times matching her drive-bys, parked 3 minutes exact, exposed the buddy's bluff by demanding real paperwork. None existed, just Linda's pull. But nights? Cameras caught her slinking around, tugging doors, peeking windows, whispering to herself. And Sarah, reviewing footage, went pale. "She's rehearsing entry. This ain't harassment, it's invasion prep, tied to her dad's death. Like each house holds proof he wasn't at fault for that collapse that killed him." Tension built that weekend. I spotted her pacing my gate, mumbling lines like a bad actor. "Officer, as safety lead," I heard cries inside. "Need entry for welfare check. They've blocked me." Tom pulled me aside. "Robert's End?" She conned him into keys, inspections any time, drove him mad till he, well, official heart attack, but stress killed him. Then, Sunday dusk, 5:45. My alerts blare. Linda dials 911, breathing ragged. "This is Linda Hayes, Willow Creek Safety Coordinator at 1423 Maple Lane. I hear distress, but owners deny inspection. Send units to force entry for emergency check." Twist of fate? Sarah, on shift overlap, takes the call, dispatches routine, then realizes it's our address. Her voice steady but heart pounding, unwittingly sending cops to raid her own home, manipulated by Linda's fake authority, born from that deep-seated need to inspect and absolve her father's ghost. Sirens wail, cars pull up, officers gear up. Linda's there, clipboard in hand, pointing dramatically. "Sergeant, the sounds were dire. Structural stress. Maybe someone trapped." I open the door calm. "Officers, all good here. Wife's at work. Been solo." Lead guy, Sergeant Ramirez, radios back, and boom, Sarah's voice crackles. "Dispatcher Sarah Reynolds here." And I yell, "That's my wife. She sent you." Chaos erupts. Linda's smug cracks to horror as they cuff her for false report. Abuse of power. Her yelling, "But the houses hide flaws. My dad built perfect. You'll see." Even arrested, smiling maniacally, thinking jail would prove her inspections valid. But no, her delusion shattered right there. That grief-fueled quest for vindication backfiring spectacularly. Post-arrest, we raided her place. Basement like a horror set. Walls plastered with ranch home blueprints, stolen doorknobs, keys labeled by address, fake reports on defects from dozens of homes over 20 years. Shrine to her dad, tools, photos, awards, surrounded by surveillance on families, all to verify his work, her brother's arrival breaking the silence. Dad died when she was 13, site collapse. She blamed sabotage, spent life hunting proof in similar builds. Psych eval. Deep grief morphed to paranoia, each invasion a twisted tribute escalating from peaks to full torment. Robert her peak victim, us next if not stopped. Trial was surreal. Linda on stand, defiant. "These homes need monitoring. My father's legacy demands it." But jury saw through, especially Sarah's tearful words. She weaponized my job against my family. Guilty all counts. Treatment over prison, restitution, bans. Months later, at our backyard grill out with Tom, Mrs. Ellis next door, even Robert's son who flew in, we healed. Sarah training dispatchers on fakes, Tom mediating spats, me finally sleeping sound. Linda? Therapy cracked her shell, remorse real, facing us via video. "I thought I protected, but I was the threat. Sorry won't fix the fear." Community bonded, but man, what if some defect she ranted about was real, buried in those old foundations? Could her madness have uncovered something deadly, or was it all smoke? Hey, drop a comment. What's your take on this? Was justice served, or should folks like her get harsher for deep-rooted delusions wrecking lives? Share your wild neighbor tales. Did they cross lines, and how'd you fight back? Let's chat, 'cause these stories remind us. Community's about watching out, not over.